What's up guys, Mike here, the Detroit Borg with a look at the Otterbox Defender case for the iPhone 6 4.7 inch model. So the Defender series is a very well-known case for rugged protection, extreme rugged protection for any device, and they're very popular. Pricing varies, so I'll post a link in the description below so you can pick one up. Of course, there's also lots of color variations that you can pick from, but I'm going with the classic black here. So the Defender provides 3 layers of protection and a built-in screen shield. So you have a hard inner shell, a softer outer shell, and a holster. So this provides some dust and water protection along with extreme impact and shock protection. And of course, if you're worried about bending your new iPhone 6, this is perhaps the best case to look at to avoid that. Alright, so let's go ahead and crack into our very familiar Otterbox packaging here. So on the inside, we'll find our case fully assembled, complete with the holster on the back. We'll set that aside for just a moment here. We also have some installation instructions included. Alright, the first order of business is to pull off the holster here, which just snaps on. So there is the case with a rubber liner surrounding the hard shell case. So you can see we have a built-in screen protector. First thing I need to do to install the phone is pull off this rubber seal around that hard case. Now sometimes it's kind of hard to pull off because it's wrapped around so tightly, especially when it's brand new. So what I do is use a little sort of jar opener here to get a grip on it, and that allows me to get started here, and then I can pull it off. Alrighty, so there is the internal hard shell case. You can see there's a little protector here for the Apple logo, the built-in screen protector, and you can pry this open by opening up these little clasps along the side here. There's one on this side and there's one on the other side. Let's see which one is easier to open here. Oh, there you go. So there's the front plate with the built-in screen protector, and the back plate also has this sort of cushion along the back which stabilizes the phone, helps to seal it up, and provides some impact protection so it doesn't constantly bang against the internal hard shell case. Now if you look at the screen protector, you can see it's been modified for the Touch ID feature here. So there's a little window here that's curved to the shape of the home button, so it allows the Touch ID feature to work through the screen protector. Alright, to install it's pretty simple. Just drop our phone into the back of the case, snap on the front of the case, and then we can put on the rubber sleeve, which wraps around that case, provides a lot of protection here. Of course, we just want to make sure that everything seals in tightly here along the sides and make sure all the flaps covering the ports and buttons are secure. So there we go, we have a fully protected iPhone 6, now much bulkier with this case, and then you can add your holster here, like so. Now you can change the direction of this holster clip any way you want. It's a pretty stiff mechanism here, so wherever you set it, it's pretty secure. Now the holster interfaces with this clip along the side of the case here. So you have one here and you have another one on the other side, so you can reverse it in any direction you want, like so. Of course, you can also flip the case around and put the screen toward the back of the holster to provide extra protection. Alright, so let's go and take a look at our case here. So we do have Touch ID, as you can see here. It does work through this button, but it doesn't work as effectively. I find that it's not as reliable with this case on, and I think that's to be expected with all these layers protecting it, but it does work. Now if you look along the left-hand side, you'll find your volume keys, which are pretty difficult to press. They're pretty spongy here, and you have to really press to operate them. Now we also have a flap here for operating that mute switch, which is pretty recessed in here. So for example, it's hard to really get my thumb in there to operate it, but I think I can do so with my finger pretty well. And on the right side, you'll find your covered sleep wake button, which is just as difficult to operate as the volume controls. Now toward the top, they've left plenty of room for the earpiece, the front-facing camera, and all the sensors. Now toward the bottom, you'll find the speaker, and the microphones are completely free, and you can see just how thick this case is by how recessed those speaker and microphones are. Now we do have flaps covering the headphone jack as well as the lightning port here, so again, those stay sealed up. Now there is plenty of room for the headphone jack unless you have an L-shaped connector. In that case, you may have more trouble. Now toward the back, we'll find our Apple logo, which is protected behind a shield, and then we have our camera module, which is completely open here. So you can see our camera module, the microphone, as well as the LED flash, and this ample bezel surrounding it. Now that bezel does not cause any glare to the flash. I did some testing and there is no concern there. Alright, so let's go and take a look at our device with the built-in screen shield. Now the screen shield is pretty thick here. You can see Touch ID doesn't always work with that cover on the home button. The screen shield feels pretty nice here. Now it is plastic, so it does change kind of the feel of the device when you're interacting with it, but otherwise it's fairly responsive. I really have no complaints here, but seems to be less responsive when you're inputting more delicately, like when you're typing or that sort of thing. But generally speaking, it's pretty tight against the glass, so you don't feel that typing as if the screen shield is loose or anything like that. The thing I have a problem with, or the thing that makes the phone a little more uncomfortable to use is these very large bezels are surrounding the display. Of course, it provides a lot of protection here, but it also makes the screen feel pretty cramped. So when you're interacting with the display, there is actually quite a bit of bezel here right against the display, which gets in the way. Now, ultimately, the Defender does deliver on its promise of providing the ultimate protection for extreme circumstances. Of course, that comes with a thicker, bulkier case that adds some weight, a screen shield that does impede some of the performance of the touchscreen, and a home button with a protector on it that can interfere with the performance of Touch ID, but otherwise does a pretty good job. The other issue here is just how cramped the screen feels with that large bezel around it, especially the home button, which feels pretty recessed. But in the end, this case provides the ultimate reassurance that your phone will survive whatever you're doing. So that's going to do for me in this video. Hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you again in the next one.